this is Rainbow Harmony, here to help you find balance and peace to live a more colorful life. And welcome back to my channel. Today we're here in the studio to do another rainbow talk, and the topic is on psychic attack. So if you're new to my channel, I do pick a card readings, we're diving into the tarot, and we're just trying to create the best life possible. We are a group of people that are survivors. We're healing from all sorts of things. We're here to get the tarot tea. We're here to have some fun. We're here to do some self-improvement. We're here to grow. We're here to accept ourselves 100%, radical self-acceptance. That's what we're up to. So today's topic is really going to help with that if you're really working on that radical self-acceptance. The last rainbow talk I did was on chronic guilt and shame. And so this is something that kind of goes along with that. On your path to clearing yourself from feeling guilty and ashamed all the time because of society and other people projecting things onto you, this is an important thing to keep track of. So let's go ahead and get into it. What is psychic attack? I think in order to understand this, you need to understand it on two levels. First, you just need to understand it on a practical level. Then I'm going to attempt to explain it on an energetic level, okay? If you want to just stay for the first part of this chat and then click out when we start talking about energetics, that's fine. But we're here on this channel to talk about energetics all the time, you guys. And psychic attack is very much an energetic thing. So practically, what is it, okay? I like to use an example from the movie Inception, one of my favorite movies. One of the main themes in this movie is the main character essentially trying to convince his wife to, he's trying to plant a thought in her head. That's essentially what Inception is. It's going into people in their dream time when their subconscious is vulnerable and planting some kind of thought in their head, perhaps to make them do something different. So that's an example of psychic attack in that movie, and it's a very fascinating movie. If you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and watch it. It is trippy. It will make you think. But psychic attack is essentially when someone projects their fear or their anxiety or their negativity onto you. So how does this happen in a connection with another person? Let's say that you are living a lifestyle that you feel really confident in and that you've worked really hard towards, and you feel like there's a lot of abundance around you and you feel happy and content. Maybe life gets you down and you've been through some stuff, but you've worked really hard for the mindset that you have. You're feeling positive and you're just trying to make it forward, right? That's a lot of us. Well, let's say you go hang out around someone and for some reason their perception of you is that you are really poor, that your life is horrible, that how could you live like that, that you must be unhappy because you don't have this and this and this, So somebody could have these opinions of you and look at you and judge you. It could be because of anything. It could be because the way you look, the way you talk, the things you believe in, the way you spend your time, your social economic status. It's essentially people projecting judgments onto you. But the way that this happens sometimes can be very passive aggressive. So they might not outright directly look at you and say, I think that you're poor and I don't think you should be happy with how you're living, and I think it's really sad that you do this and this and this, and I think that you're strange and awkward, but I feel bad and I pity you and I'm still gonna be friends with you. You know what I mean? It's like that energy of they might say things or they might insinuate things. It can happen through them talking about another person and insinuating something that you're doing that they don't think is right, but it can happen through a lot of passive aggressive communication. So the person could also not even be aware of it. They could think that they're being nice to you. They could think that oh, this is my friend, or this is my coworker, this is my colleague, this is my child, unfortunately, or someone close to you. And they're just going around living their life, having their perceptions and projecting that through you. And it can be upsetting because every time you spend time with them, you're getting drilled into your head these negative perceptions of you. you're poor, you're unattractive, you're not doing enough, you should do this, you should do that. Like, it can start eating away at your confidence and your self-esteem. And that's basically what psychic attack is. Like, it gets inside your head. So even though the word psychic is being used and it sounds like, woo, like very, we're talking about your psyche. We're talking about your thoughts. We're talking about how when you hang around people who have a poor opinion of you, or who have these kind of negative thoughts or perceptions or beliefs, and they're, you hang around them enough, it's going to come out of their mouth, it's going to be projected onto you. And maybe after a while, over of this, you could start to take it on. You could start to believe it. You could start thinking, oh no, I don't have enough. I'm not happy. I'm not worthy. I'm not complete. I need to do this or that. It's different than a boss or a coworker or friend or family member or somebody maybe trying to hold you accountable. Or, I think a little bit of judgment. Everyone has their own perceptions and their own beliefs. So sometimes a little bit of that will happen and we'll get hurt in relationships. But you should be able to say, like, hey, actually, that hurt me. Please don't say that. Or that's not the truth of me or my situation or whatever. And the other person, hopefully, if they're a really good friend, colleague, coworker, family member, whatever, at that point, will usually kind of pull back and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to hurt you like that. I didn't know that I was saying that. Like, some people are unaware they're projecting it, and you should be able to, in a healthy relationship, bring it up, and the other person maybe feel a little bad. You don't want to shame them, but you want to tell them, hey, that's not the truth. And usually they'll accept that, and then they won't bring it up again, or maybe they just won't say it out loud anymore, hopefully. But with people who are manipulators, gaslighters, narcissists, toxic people, severely wounded people who might still be in very survival mode, definitely project this out and can project their fears and anxieties onto other people. Now, if you're worried that you've done this, maybe you're listening so far and you're like, oh my gosh, I have my own perceptions of people. I have my own judgments. I have my own values. I have my own opinion. And I go out in the world and I'm like just being myself. And like, I'm worried, like, have I maybe hurt other people like this? Well, a good friend will be able to tell you when you're overstepping that. Like, if your judgments, your opinions, the things that are coming out of your mouth, if it's hurting like them, they should be able to speak up and hopefully you will make friends with and align with people who share a lot of your values, who want to speak kindly, who want to lift and hype each other up, want to kind of be more positive. But sometimes you realize, okay, I'm clashing with this person. I don't mean to hurt them by just being me and speaking the way I speak. I gotta go elsewhere. So don't listen to this and think, oh my gosh, am I psychic attacking people without even knowing it? The answer is kind of, kind of. You have to be yourself. You have to be authentic. You can't just not have opinions and walk around and keep everything inside. Like, that's going to hurt you. So be yourself. But I think the problem here is when other people can't allow you to be you and they really want you to think something. Like in that movie in Inception, he wanted her to think something. Like he really was like trying to project that onto her. So these people could be thinking that they know better than you, that they think that they're smarter than you, that they think that they have higher values than you, and they're looking at you and they're making a lot of judgments and they're trying to, they don't like it and they're trying to basically, project their fear, their anxiety, wanting you to think something, insinuating things, implying things. People should, if they're your friend, family member, close people in your life that you get along with, if you're going through stuff in your life, they should feel sorry for you. They should want to help or support and be compassionate, or just at least, send some compassion your way. But I think people who are more manipulative, toxic, passive-aggressive, narcissistic, a lot of times they think they gotta project like their own stuff onto you. It's funny because even I got my notes, you guys, and even here in my notes, I have written down that it's essentially verbal abuse, and that pity is somebody looking down on you. Um, that is a psychic attack. Pity is one of the worst psychic attacks because pity is basically somebody looking down on you, somebody, really thinking that uh, it's just it's a disgusting feeling. No one wants to be pitied. Um, and so there's that involved. So, what have we talked about so far? Psychic attack, practically people projecting their anxieties and their fears onto you by the things that they're saying, the energy, like when you're hanging around them. Usually, this is something that happens over time, and they're just trying to make you think what they want you to think. Sometimes they're trying to make you do what they want you to do. Um, they're implying things, they're pitying, sometimes it's verbal abuse. Um, and what they're trying to mess with is your perception of yourself. Your perception of yourself and your perception of your life is the most important thing, because the way that you perceive yourself and the way that you perceive your life and your surroundings, a lot of actions and decisions are made based off of that. If you're perceiving your life as just this horrible, dramatic catastrophe, it's just one thing after another, then like you could make choices to kind of like be in survival mode and kind of hole up and like maybe not take very good care of yourself, and it can cause so many things and cause disruptions in your relationships and everything. And I think it's normal if you just gone through something. It's normal if you need to process. Don't feel bad if you need to be in your cave for a while. But if you were feeling pretty good and then other people around you are doing this psychic attack and almost telling you that you shouldn't feel good about your life, you shouldn't feel good about yourself, that's hard. I think a lot of times narcissists, toxic people, manipulators, passive aggressive people are really, really unhappy with themselves and with the choices they've made. So when they see somebody that they think has it worse off than them, or they see someone who's really weak and vulnerable, easily manipulated, or even someone who's just really kind and nice and very passionate, what they see is like it can make them angry. It can trigger them because they feel like, I have more than this person, or I feel like I'm better than this person. Why are they so happy? Why are they so content? Why are they so just okay with it? And so I think a lot of you guys have experienced this. I'm giving this talk mainly because I talk about this in personal readings and in coaching all the time. One of the main complaints and frustrations people have is somebody who lives with them, a roommate, their mom, their dad, their coworker, their friend, their sister, their brother, whatever, treating them like this. The psychic attack. There's this point where you have to realize, I really have to take control and ownership of my perception of myself and my perception of my life. I've realized this along my journey, you guys, because I've had a lot of people misunderstand me. I could get into the weeds with it. I have a lot of theories, but I look back and I'm just like, all these people that left my life, all these people I've left behind, all these people that I'm just not talking to anymore, I'm over, I'm moving on, moving forward. A lot of them were people who kind of did this to me. And sometimes it wasn't personal. Sometimes it was just because they were going through stuff and projecting that. And it was just like too much, If you're realizing that you're being psychic attacked and that you are spending time around someone or even a group of people that are making you feel like you're small and trying to mess with your perception of yourself and your perception of your life, projecting things onto you through insinuation, through implying things, through passive-aggressive communication, giving you pity, looking down on you, verbal abuse, all of that. If you realize that's happening, well, you got to get away from that person as much as you can, because the more space you get from that, the more like you can heal, the more you can release, the more you can realize that's that person's fears, that's that person's anxieties that were projected onto me. A lot of you guys, unfortunately, have a lot of this projected onto you by your parents if you came from a dysfunctional or toxic family, or you had one or both parents with very low self-esteem, addictions, things like that, you know, you're raised with a lot of psychic attack, and you can be really confused about who you are and your identity as you move forward and away from that out into this world. So I think the most important thing you can do sometimes is to insulate yourself from those types of connections and go back to yourself. And it can be scary because maybe you cut off a close friend, or maybe you decide to take a little space, and maybe you feel codependent with that person and they filled a void or they were there for you. But sometimes you have to say, you know what? In order for me to be the true person I came here to be, I can't hang around people who have that old view and that old opinion of me and continue to look down on me for it. So I've seen a lot of people who've gone through this on their journey. I've heard from people who've literally changed their name because they wanted to start a new life because of all of it. So you guys are artists, you guys are dreamers, you're mystics, you're poets, you're the people that slip through the cracks in the system, you're the deep thinkers, you're on this journey, you're the rainbow fam, you're the wild children, you're the rainbow people, you know, you're the star seeds or the indigos or the crystals, whatever it is you want to call yourself, doesn't matter. It's just you've recognized maybe you're more sensitive, maybe you're more artistic, maybe you didn't come here to live that life. Maybe you're not here trying to be perfect and only talk to people who are super pious and who meditate 3 times a day and never say a mean thing. You know, sometimes you gotta be real with people, and sometimes, you know, I'm looking at these clothes that some of the celebrities are wearing on the red carpet and I'm like, what in the world? Like, you be a real person, have your opinions, and be a little negative sometimes. That's life. Black and white, hot and cold. We got positivity, we got negativity. But just be careful. Don't go taking your negativity out to people like that so much. I don't think you do. I think I'm preaching to the choir right now. I think I'm talking to the people who've suffered from other people who've gone out there and done that. One thing you need to make sure you do with all of this is take responsibility for your triggers, okay? Because ultimately what happens when you realize you're being psychic attacked and somebody's really trying to project a perception or a vision of you and your life onto you, you have to realize, like, that's a trigger, and you're the one who's responsible for it. You're the one who has to lay there in bed at night and as you're falling asleep and start telling yourself, you know what, that's not true, and I believe this, and pray it away. Really, like, I lay there and I pray, and I just think, like, I imagine the person in front of me sometimes, and I say what I need to say to them. And I imagine myself just cutting those energetic cords. You know, I go to therapy. I talk to my therapist about it. You know, I'm writing things down in my journal. Sometimes you got to write letters to people, rip them up, throw them away. You know, if this psychic attack has been intense, if it's been your whole life by one of your caregivers, if you realize it's a close friend who's been with you for many years, who's been trying to hold you back, if you realize it was an ex-boyfriend that, like, you escaped from and, like, you're still dealing with this in your head and you're realizing they psychic attacked you every day, man, I just want to say I feel for you. I feel for you. And that's the battle, is when you wake up every day, is trying to move on from that chronic guilt and shame and that psychic attack, and to start telling yourself, like, I'm worthy, you know, I'm a good person, it's okay, I trust my visions, I trust myself, I trust the person I am, I'm going to keep doing my best every day and keep trying to network and make connections with people that are authentic relationships. Please don't give up, you guys. I know it's difficult on this journey to creating and having authentic relationships around you, but I'm not giving up, and I don't want you to give up either. Now let's talk about this on an energetic level now, okay? Psychic attack on an energetic level. If you aren't into energetics, I suggest you maybe that's the end. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. But for those of you guys who are interested in this part, we're going to be talking about psychic attack on an energetic level, okay? Have you ever had a dream about, like, an ex you had, and it was really strange and really intense, and you're like, what? And then you keep dreaming about them for days and days, and maybe you thought you let go of them, you thought you released them, And it's very disturbing, and like it keeps coming up. And then a couple days later, they call you or they message you. I hear these stories a lot. I hear these stories all the time. And I also have experienced some of these coincidences or synchronicities. I believe sometimes on an energetic level, when somebody is thinking about you a lot, especially negative thoughts, and sending that energy your way, I believe it can affect you. That's why I am wearing like the evil eye necklace. That's why I'm wearing amethyst to protect myself. I have a couple other things I use. I like to use frankincense on my third eye. I like to sage myself, and I also like to use Palo Santo. Now, do any of those things actually work? It could honestly just be all in my head. I will admit that. Like, it's very possible sage and Palo Santo and like my necklace and my amulets and stuff do not work. However, I have spent a lot of time like really putting intentions into these objects. This isn't one of them. This is just a regular necklace. But pretend that this is one of my talismans or something. You know, I will put it on at a time where I'm feeling unsafe or uncomfortable, and like it makes me feel anchored. It reminds me like I'm anchored in myself. I can protect myself. I am safe, and I trust myself to make good choices, you know? Or is amethyst just really that energetically awesome? I don't know, but I just know when I hold these objects and I put intention to them, it means something to me. And psychic attack can happen. I really believe when people are sending that negativity to you. Now let's talk about magic or spells. I talk to a lot of people who truly believe they've been cursed or there's been some kind of magic or spell put on them. I mean, for safety, it's always kind of best to just do one of those clearing prayers just in case. Like there's this guy on here, his name's Michael Guzman. You can look him up. He has a couple free like clearing prayers, and I just do them every once in a while when I just feel like a bad energy or I had a bad encounter with someone or some weird vibe and I just feel unsettled about it. But once again, those meditations have me lay down and do that and breathe deep and center my body and like chemicals balance. So is it him doing this clearing prayer and the magic words, or is it my breath and my intention and just being present in my body and saying like, this is what it is and this is what I choose to believe and let's move forward, you know? So this is kind of a conversation of what do you do when you've been psychic attacked, and also like, is it really energetic? And I think that's up to just your personal beliefs. It does, like, it's a very real thing because it's literally people projecting their fears and anxieties onto you. But energetically, it could also, if you believe this, it could be people thinking negative thoughts, sending negative energy your way, wanting bad things to happen to you, even going as far as like trying to hex you and stuff. I don't know. Like I've heard of things like that and I'm just like, that's crazy. Like who has time for that? But I get it. I myself have done rituals and things like that, trying to release somebody or something or an energy, and I get it. I'm not gonna, I don't want to judge that, but the main thing here is that it could be a real energetic thing. So if someone's popping into your dreams a whole lot, it could be that they're thinking of you or psychic attacking you or setting energy. But please don't run off and be paranoid with this information. All that matters, it doesn't really matter what's happening. At the end of the day, the healing and the treatment is the same thing. Sometimes you do have to ritualize it, and that's by like protecting yourself. I'm going to wear like my healing necklace. I'm going to say a prayer, or I'm going to write a letter and then I'm going to burn it, or I'm going to, maybe do some kind of spell or something like that. Get witchy with it, That's a good way to release. I also am going to bring it up, traditional therapy. I still am going to therapy, and it really, really helps. And it's very, very grounding, and you can get real life techniques like setting boundaries and recovering from codependency. That too, to help with psychic attack, because you can talk to your therapist more and learn more about how to release these people and these types of connections from your life, and maybe even get down to the root of the cause. Sometimes these types of relationships, we continue on in them because of something that we're going through the past, things like that. Another way to help combat psychic attack in the moment, if somebody is psychic attacking you, you can just simply say that's not true. If somebody is insinuating something, being passive aggressive, I think the best way to handle that is usually to just be direct. However, usually that person will then passive aggressively like narc you back, or it can start a fight and sometimes instead of just fighting back with somebody all the time, you got to pick your battles, and it's not about proving it to that other person. Eventually I realized I'm going to let them think what they want to think. If this person or these people have that low of opinion of me and they really think that's who I am, or that's how I am, or that's what I'm out doing, that's their problem. It's not mine. It's none of my business. Whenever people say that whole, like, it's none of your business what other people think about you, that does make me spiral into chronic guilt and shame, because I'm like, well, I still kind of care, to be honest. I don't want people going around saying this, thinking that, but anybody who's gonna believe somebody who's going around saying things about you, anybody who's gonna like have a low opinion of you because of stuff coming around, that's just, no one's got time for that drama, right? We're getting too old for that. At least I am. People who are psychic attacking others are very paranoid individuals, are very individuals who have a lot of anxiety, nothing wrong with that. I'm definitely paranoid and have anxiety too, but instead of dealing with that and really being like cognizant of that, self-aware, getting therapy, working on it, just trying to heal, being upfront with people, what they're going through, they keep it inside, and then they, in fear, they go out and kind of pick and at you. I want you guys to start having more ammunition. I want you guys to know where my confidence and my strength and my power comes from. And I truly believe that knowledge is power. And when you understand more about the psychic attack that's going on around you, not even to mention the psychic attack that's happening through the advertisements, the news, and the radio, especially in America, but like other places too, of course. That's psychic attack. When you're walking down the street and they're getting ads and they've done research on what colors, what numbers, what symbols to use to get in your brain to elicit a certain response from you, that's psychic attack. The government does it all day long, all the time. Gaslighting, psychic attacks, that's just what's up. So when you realize like our culture operates on that, it's a lot of deprogramming and unlearning and taking back your energy, taking back your power, being aware that's happening. Like, do I go to the mall sometimes? Yes. I like to shop, why not? Sometimes, But am I aware that I'm being psychic attacked? Am I making sure I'm on a budget and I know I have a list, I know what I want? Or if I want to treat myself, go for it. But it's one of those things where I'm being aware, because like impulse buys, psychic attack, they can making you do things that you didn't actually want to do originally. How crazy is that? So how do you think that the government, the system, corporations, advertising companies learned about this? It's because people have been doing it. It's been a thing. And now it's just being used in advertising on a wider scale. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Psychic attack. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Chronic guilt and shame. All right? Go away from this conversation feeling empowered. Knowing, someone could try to psychic attack you today. Remember, you got to take responsibility for your triggers. That's the last thing I wrote down here, is that some people are just going to be like that. And maybe you have to be around them because it's work, or it's someone you currently live with. I say get another job. I say just like move out. But you can't just avoid everything your whole life. Sometimes you got to confront people. Sometimes you got to take these opportunities to get yourself mentally stronger. And that's my challenge to you. Take this as an opportunity to be mentally strong. Okay? Go out there. You're going to get psychic attacked. It's going to happen. Be present with yourself. But then we're going to move on, and we're going to move forward to making choices that feel authentic. We're not going to allow that. We're going to say no. We're going to draw boundaries. We're going to, keep our heads down, and maybe sometimes you got to choose your battles with these people. It's not always about standing up for yourself. Sometimes you feel like, well, I don't want to be a doormat, but you got to choose your battle situation sometimes too. So choose your battles, pick your battles, and you got this, all right? Let me know if you have any questions below. Share your stories. Talk about psychic attack. Do you resonate with this? What else do you want to hear about in my rainbow talks? And I will see you next time. Thank you for coming to my channel. Peace out.